starts filming, instantly finds every distraction possible.
Kai's good at this YouTube thing.
Oh yeah. Hey YouTube, it's Sunday.
Why are you such a copycat?
So it's been a little while since I've actually sat down and filmed a video. I think I filmed one, maybe two here-ish. Anyway, so hello. Let me just start right off the bat and say that no, this title is not clickbait. I know it says like not clickbait and it looks like it's clickbait. It's not clickbait. It was the worst time of my life. Okay, actually I've low-key had worse. No, it was the worst mental breakdown of my life. Yes, I cut my hair and my bangs are different. Back when I was like a freshman in college, there were a few times that I like cut them straight across and I loved it, and then I got tired of it and I started sweeping them to the side again, and then it would grow out, and then I get tired of it and cut them straight across again, so on and so forth. There was like a cycle. At this point, I haven't cut my bangs, aside from like trimming them a little bit, in like 2 years. I cut them back when I lived in Mooresville and I did baby bangs and they were so bad. But other than that, that was the last time I did it. It's been a couple years and I randomly got the urge. It doesn't matter why. It was a whole thing. I just kind of like, I posted a poll on Twitter and I also messaged my friend Remy and was like, so should I do it? And I posted it and sent it, and then I was sitting there and I was like, I'm gonna go do it now. So by the time that Remy responded, was like, I don't know. I was like, look what I did. On the plus side, the vote is still yes for my bangs, which is good because I've already done it. Anyway, okay, I'm actually gonna start the story. So it all started back when we were still living in North Carolina. I was looking through Craigslist for cheap living arrangements in LA because that's where we were originally trying to move. I guess for those of you who don't know, I am from North Carolina and I just moved to California a few months ago. Yeah, that about covers it. So we were looking for really cheap living arrangements in LA because I moved with my best friend Connor, actually. Yo. So I was scrolling through Craigslist looking for cheap housing arrangements. I know it's sketchy, okay, but I had found places on, actually, now that I think about it, I never actually successfully used Craigslist to find a place. I did find some places and go see them, but I never wound up actually staying there. Interesting. Anyway, I couldn't remember having a bad experience with Craigslist in North Carolina, so I was like, surely it won't be any different in LA. It's not like it's a city full of people trying to take advantage of everyone. Not at all. No. And I mean, we found a few semi-promising places, you know, like kind of expensive, kind of shitty, but like doable-ish. But, you know, most likely we were already like, we're probably gonna have to live in the outskirts anyway, like it's gonna suck, but let's look in, you know, main LA first. And then I got a message from a woman. She sent me an email, and the name that she gave me, I'm not protecting any names here because they're criminals and probably not real people. She said her name was Hanako and that she had a room in LA, literally in West Hollywood, like in prime location, which should have been red flag number one because no one in a prime location is going to be messaging me. Like, that's almost like someone in Beverly Hills being like, hey, I can give you a room for free, and there's nothing attached to it at all. Like, you can just stay there for free. It's fine. There's no reason. You're gonna get murdered. Anyway, so yeah, so she said like it's in this great location, blah blah blah, and she had a roommate previously. It's a 2-bedroom. She said that the girl that she was living with before had moved to Wales, I believe it was. Another red flag is them giving you a lot of details. I mean, also like if they don't give you any details, it's like you gotta find an in-between. I didn't really know that. This was my first time seriously looking on Craigslist. And I guess she emailed me, so anyway, it doesn't matter. So she said that her old roommate had moved to like Wales or something like that. And so the room was fully furnished because the roommate couldn't take like the bed and stuff like that with her because she was flying. And she's like, but yeah, so I'm renting out the other room so that I don't have to pay more in rent because I can't afford it by myself. She said that one room was gonna be $700. Now, she had the master bedroom, so I assumed that she was giving us a smaller one, and that's why it was like 700 instead of like 900. But also, coming from North Carolina, 700 for 2 people to share 1 bedroom in a 2-bedroom apartment, that's a lot of money. I mean, you have to understand, whenever I was living in apartments in North Carolina, my first one was $240 a month. $240 a month for me to live in my own room. That's insane. And then the second one was $280 a month, and it was just a 2-bed, like it had 2 stories. It was a really cool apartment. I miss it a lot. But that's the price difference. So still thinking like $700 for 1 bedroom for 2 people to share in a 2-bedroom apartment in LA. Like, yeah, that seems expensive enough. Like, that makes sense. Because I hadn't actually stopped to research what price it would be. Like, I was seeing some like really expensive rooms, and then I was seeing some for around 800, 900-ish. So it was like 700, that makes sense, and maybe it's like a cheaper place. So she attaches some pictures and she goes on to say that she wants to know a little bit more about us because like it's really important for her to get along with the new people who she's gonna live with. And I'm like, yes, I get that. That makes you seem more like a real person, seems more believable. We looked up the location and honestly, it did seem too good to be true, but I wanted it. I wanted it to be true so bad. Still, we were kind of hesitant in the beginning. We were like, just in case this is a scam, because it is Craigslist, and like, it was like a 5-minute walk from the Grove shopping center, like right there. Like, if you know anything about LA, that's like central LA, like that's where everyone is. It's also where a lot of the gay population is, so we were really excited about that, but anyway. Yeah, so we were a little hesitant at first. You know, I was talking to her more and like telling her about us, asking her about herself, and she was giving me a lot of details. She didn't tell me like where she worked or anything, but she said she like got up at 8 in the morning and like, you know, she had a pretty quiet and regular sleep schedule. And by quiet, I mean like quiet daily life, not quiet sleep schedule. Everyone has a quiet sleep schedule unless you're a chronic snorer like my mom. Hi, Mom. Anyway, she was saying something about like the landlord, Lisa. She was like, you know, she just got in a car accident and her husband died and like her legs are messed up or something and I don't know. And she's like, so be sensitive when you talk to her, but here's her email. Again, red flag number 2, the person in charge has these huge medical bills and a tragedy, so you can't ask too many questions or be too difficult because she's grieving. Real sketchy. Real sketchy. Anyway, I just want to go ahead and say I wasn't not seeing the red flags. Like, I'm not an idiot, you know, I was being an idiot, but I'm not an idiot. Like, I was noticing like, that's weird, that's a weird detail, that's kind of convenient, but at the same time, I wanted the place so bad, I didn't want to question it, because I felt like if I questioned it, then it wouldn't be real, and can you stop slamming doors? But I felt like if I questioned it, it wouldn't be real, and I mean, it wasn't. But I didn't want that to be true, and so I was like, well, yeah, I'll give them a benefit of the doubt. Like, surely, you know, it's just a difficult time. Like, people have hard times. It's LA. Like, people have difficult times, you know what I mean? Like, she seems nice. She even sent me a, like, picture, like, a cell phone picture of, like, her driver's license. She was like, here it is just so that you feel more comfortable. Like, I didn't even have to ask her, and immediately I was like, yes, I trust this girl. Her name is Hanako Yoshida. Here are the pictures of herself that she sent me. Here is like all the pictures of the apartment and like the details. We looked up the address, etc. She was actually planning on picking us up from like the airport, but like we were gonna drive, but I guess we didn't mention that, I don't know. Anyway, so we're talking a little bit more, we're really getting along, and she's like, I think this is gonna work. I'm like, great, this is gonna work too. Like, we're excited, I can't wait. Here's our move-in date. So then she gave me the landlord's email, and so I messaged her. Her name is Lisa. I don't think I ever got a last name for her, I don't remember. But her name was Lisa, and I emailed her and was like, hey, like, you know, we're the ones looking to rent out this spare room, blah, blah, blah. Like, she was really nice and everything, and she wanted a deposit up front, which was supposed to be half of the first month's rent, so it was $350. Now, because we were in North Carolina and the apartment was in California, I was like, how are we supposed to pay you a deposit? Like, is there some, like, online service? Like, what are we doing? Like, this feels sketchy. And she's like, oh, no, don't worry about it. Let's just do Western Union. Like, it's easier to transfer money that way. I'm like, okay. So I set up a Western Union account, linked my bank, everything else, and it tells you 15 million times, do not use Western Union if it's a deposit. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, it is a deposit, but like, you know, it's across the country, so it's an exception. And then, you know, whatever, I should have listened. But the person we were supposed to be sending it to was like Robert Joyner, I believe, something like that, in Florida. Now, I thought that was weird, but she said that that was her lawyer or something who was gonna send her the paperwork. It seems so sketchy. God, I was just being an idiot. I wanted it so bad. By the way, this video was a warning. Please be careful. Apparently this happens a lot in LA. Anyway, I thought it was weird because I was like, he's in Florida, so why am I sending the money to Florida? Because the apartment's in LA and you'd think that the landlord would live in LA. I don't know. But she said he was her lawyer or something, so I was like, all right, whatever. So I went to send the money, and there's a $40 fee, by the way, so this is really $390. But she told me that, like, she'd take out the fee from rent, which, again, seems too nice, but here we are. So yeah, so I tried to send it to this Robert dude, and it wouldn't go through. It didn't tell me until like 3 days later. I called and asked whenever she was like, hey, they're saying that he can't take the payment, I don't know why, I tried to send it again or something. And so I called them, and they were like, oh yeah, he like has gotten too many transfers this month. There's like a limit on it or something like that. I don't know. But it was weird that he had been taking out enough transfers to have like reached that limit. That like sketched me out a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so they returned the money to my bank account. I'm a little sketched out. I'm like, I don't know why it didn't work. Like something's going on, but like, I need this apartment to be real. Again, honestly, this whole story is just me being an idiot and being in denial. Just so you know. So I tell her what's going on. I like text her and she's like, oh, okay, wow, that sucks. Okay, well, why don't you just go ahead and send it again, but send it straight through me? And I'll just like come pick it up, it's fine. And hers was also in Florida, which again was weird, but I didn't want to ask too many questions because like I was like, well, maybe that's where, you know, her husband was from or something, and she's over there dealing with funeral arrangements and his family and whatever. I honestly, I know we've covered this already, but I was an idiot. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds fine. So I resend the $390 with the fee. So yeah, so I called Western Union again and they told me that again, it couldn't be sent through because she had had too many transfers. And so they put the whole $390 back in my bank account, and I let Lisa know. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking maybe I should just walk away. Like maybe this is weird, and it was weird. And I should have walked away. But I'm like, but this apartment seems so great and I'm getting way too close to back out now. Like it was like a month and a half away, something like that. Like I needed it to all work out. And so I'm like, well, you know, she's a landlord. Like maybe, I don't know. I thought that she only owned the one apartment or something. I was like, maybe she owns the whole building and maybe that's why. Maybe they all pay rent this way. Like maybe there's a logical explanation. No, there's not. Anyway, so I told her why it wouldn't send through, and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is so annoying. Let's try this one more time. My daughter has agreed to take the transfer, but she lives in New Jersey. So send it to her and she'll send it to me. Now, if I can't send it to her through Western Union, how is her daughter supposed to send it to her? Like, even then I had that thought, but I was like, well, maybe their bank accounts are linked. That's stupid. She's a grown woman living in another state. Why would their bank accounts be linked? It doesn't make sense, Kai. But I said okay, and I sent the $390 to her daughter, whose name I do not remember at this point. Lisa Joy was the landlord's name. I just remembered her last name. That's right, because I found out whenever I had to send her the... Anyway, yeah. So I sent it to her daughter in New Jersey. That time it went through no issue. Something cool. We've paid the deposit, and then she sent us a deposit like receipt thing so that you could see that we paid a deposit. She also like had us sign a contract. Like she emailed it to us and then we had to like fax it back or something, but it was like a contract that said like she will offer us a room and we will pay this much every month. So yeah, so we had a contract, we had a rental receipt, like we've paid the deposit, we are good to go. Now all we need to do is worry about the road trip itself. We gotta map it out, we gotta prepay for our motel rooms, everything else. Like we gotta figure everything out, we gotta get as much money as we can and save it and pack and everything else. And so all of that's really stressful, but the apartment's figured out. So the trip is gonna suck. But once we're there and we're living in LA. Like, that was our mindset, like, oh, maybe it was a little sketchy in the past, but you know what, screw it, we have a receipt, like, we have the documents, this is legit. Of course, that's ignoring the fact that there were some typos in the rental agreement contract, but that's different, you know, people can make typos, it's fine, it's still legally binding. Anyway, so we planned for the road trip, we take the road trip, you guys saw us vlogging, you know what happened. If you didn't, I'll link it right here. It'll also be linked in the description box down below. I swear to God, I set up to film and everyone came home as soon as I set up. I'm annoyed. So we made the trip, we got to LA, it was awesome. We were freaking out like, oh my God, we're gonna be living in LA, blah, blah, blah. But we had also both been having a low-key sinking feeling since we got there. Because the whole trip we're like, you know, this is fun, this is great, we're out on the road, we're moving, we're going to LA, that's exciting, blah, blah. But it wasn't like real, you know. By the time we got to LA, it was exciting and awesome, but it was also getting dark and it was also we were like 30 minutes from the apartment, which we both had a bad feeling about. I actually messaged Hanako the night before we left, or 2 nights before we left, something like that, and told her, hey, we're actually going to be in town 2 days before I thought we were going to. I think we landed on the 7th or the 8th or something like that. I believe I told her either the 9th or the 10th, and we were supposed to get there like the 7th. Anyway, I was like, yeah, the drive is going to be shorter than I thought, but just to let you know, so we're going to come in that day. How do we get into the apartment? Because you still haven't told us. We still don't know what number the apartment is. Yeah, that's another thing. I'm an idiot. Guys, please don't try to move into an apartment without even knowing what number you're moving into. We didn't have a key. We didn't know what number it was. We didn't know anything about how to get inside the building. Like, I don't know what we thought was gonna happen, but that's probably why we were so nervous. So anyway, we keep driving, we get to the apartment, and there's like a very tiny driveway, and then it's fenced off, and then it's like a parking deck below the apartments or whatever. It's kind of complicated. But we pulled up right in front of the fence, and I'm like, it's not opening. So we probably need a code or something, and we don't have one. I emailed Hanako a couple times, like in motels, like on the way, just because like she hadn't been responding. So finally at this point I started, also by the way I didn't have Hanako's phone number or I would have called her, but I started texting Lisa and she wasn't responding, and I tried calling her and she still wasn't responding, and Connor like went up to the door where there's like a directory of people who live there and didn't see Yoshida on there anywhere. So we're like, fantastic, this is nerve-wracking. So we drive to the Ralph's literally across the street because we needed to be in a parking lot instead of sitting in front of a fence and blocking anyone who wants to come in or out. Plus we were getting really weird looks. It was like in a neighborhood. So we drive to the Ralph's across the street. We're sitting there and I go ballistic. Like I literally start calling Lisa. Call, like I just wait and wait, and it rings and it rings, and then it's like, this Google customer cannot reach the phone, and I'm like, and redial, and also like apparently it was a Google like number, which I didn't know to begin with. Like she texted me the first time, was like, hey, this is Lisa, and I was like, okay, cool, because I had given her my phone number. So it wasn't even like her cell phone number, and so I'm thinking, well, maybe she's just not getting it because it's a Google call, and so I don't know, and maybe she's asleep, like, because it was like 8:30 in California at that point, and I was like, well, if she's in Florida right now, that's 3 hours later, so like maybe she's just not getting it, maybe she's asleep, I don't know. I'm having a mental breakdown, and Connor's like, we maybe should just find a motel. So yeah, so we wound up finding a motel. It was probably like $80-ish, something like that, another $80 that we shouldn't have needed to spend. And apparently it was like 10 minutes down the street. I thought it was longer, but it wasn't. So yeah, so we drove to the motel. There were no pets allowed, so we hid Danny. We just didn't tell them that we had her because we couldn't afford to go somewhere else that would allow pets, and anyway. So we go up to the room. It was actually kind of a cool place. I wish I could remember the name of it. It was a little shitty and run down, but it was also kind of cool, and supposedly a lot of like stars had stayed there or whatever. There were like pictures that were signed, and like, I don't know, something was shot there. A person probably, but I meant a movie. Oh my god, that was a bad joke. Anyway, so we go inside and we just kind of lay down and we're like, I can't think about anything. Like all of our belongings are in the little Kia downstairs. Like we're just not gonna think about any of this. So we literally put on Full House because that's the only show that's ever available in any motel ever, apparently. That's halfway decent, or at least the whole time that we were on the road. So we did our nightly routine of putting on Full House, and we fell asleep. Still very stressed, but fell asleep. Right before we fell asleep, I did check my email. I just like had it open and kept like refreshing, and Hanako did email me back. I had sent her like a million emails. She did finally email me back. She said, I'm sorry, I've been so busy here. I will call you in the morning. I looked at that email and just looked at Connor and showed them, and we both just kind of relaxed. Like everything had been building up so hard, and we're like, she's not responding, like she's not real, like this apartment's not real, nothing's real, nothing matters, oh my god, we're homeless, like ah. And then we got the email saying she'll call us in the morning. So that was confirmation that she's real and that the apartment isn't a scam, because why would you call us if the apartment's a scam and we found out when we got to LA? Like what would the point be in saying that you're gonna call us if we're freaking out because the apartment that we paid for is a scam? So anyway, you know, we rationalized it in our heads and we were like, cool, this is gonna be good. Like she'll call us hopefully before we have to leave at 11, and you know, she said in the morning she goes to work at 8, so probably really early, and that's fine. And I made sure to give her my phone number multiple times, and I was like, you know, it'll be fine. Like she'll call us, we'll move into our apartment, it's a good day, like it's gonna be fine. We're in LA, like relax, self, you know what I mean? In the morning, I woke up, I'm like in a great mood, I'm playing with Danny, like I ate like some Pop-Tarts or something, I don't know, we were watching Charmed. It was, I mean, I was in a very good mood. It was a really cool hotel room. And then, you know, 8 o'clock ticks by, 9 o'clock ticks by, 10 o'clock ticks by, it's 10:30, we've got to check out at 11, and we're both sitting up like she hasn't called. I've emailed her like 3 times like, hey, like, I don't mean to be pushy, but like, are you gonna call? Like, we have to check out of this hotel by 11 and I would rather like just go straight to the apartment, but she still hadn't called. So when it's time, we pack up, we get back in the car, we check out, and I believe the first thing we were gonna do, I was originally planning on just like driving to the apartment again, but then I was like, there's no point if I still don't know how to get in and she still hasn't called or anything like that. And you know what, she's probably at work, like maybe she forgot to call us to begin with, and maybe she'll see it when she gets off work and she'll call us later, I don't know. So we like found a park that was literally right around the corner, and we just sat in that park. I had Danny in her little cat carrier because I didn't want to keep her in the car. We sat in some shade, and we were like on our laptops. I think I was playing like The Sims or something. There were outlets in the park. It was kind of nice. And there was even like a little stand like a little bit down the street, so I ran and I got us like some drinks and stuff and came back. But time ticked by and by and by and by, and she still wasn't calling me. My mom was freaking out. She's like, I'd be calling her like crazy, like, you know, you guys are technically homeless right now, like until she calls you, blah, blah, blah. But in my head, I'm also kind of like, okay, but yeah, I told her more recently in the email that we would be arriving sooner, but originally she didn't think we were gonna come in, like the contract doesn't start until August 9th. So like, it's only the 8th this morning, you know, like, maybe that explains it. Like, maybe she just wasn't expecting us yet. Like, she hadn't checked her email. Like, she keeps saying she's been really busy. So she probably just hasn't checked her email, like didn't know that we were supposed to be here, and now it's all in a frenzy. Like, that's probably all it is. It's a big misunderstanding. I'm trying not to lose my mind, you know, like it was, So we're still sitting in this park, and eventually I start getting really pissed off, and we get tired, and the bench is uncomfortable, we're getting hungry, like we need to not be just like chilling in a park or in the car. Like, we need to go to what is supposed to be our home. So we get in my car, and we're just kind of waiting a little bit longer. I'm emailing her again and again. I'm starting to call Lisa over and over again. She's still not picking up. I've texted her multiple times, and again, no one's responding. We're talking to our friend Ariel, who is fantastic, by the way. She's been really sweet and talking me through it, and we were just kind of like freaked out, but like, I don't know. I honestly don't know how I didn't actually just like go insane at this moment. So we actually wound up driving to the apartment and like sitting outside for a little while because we're like, well, maybe, you know, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what we thought was gonna happen. We were just kind of getting desperate. And when we sat there for a while and that didn't work, we decided to go to a Starbucks nearby and sit in there. I actually had to like talk with the manager and stuff because like Danny is a cat, and like you can't have anything that's like not a service animal inside Starbucks. And she is technically my emotional support animal, but that's not a service animal, and also she doesn't even have the papers for it. So anyway, but I told them the situation. They said, yeah, we could stay in there for a few hours. I was like, I'm just waiting on my roommate to call me. She never called. Finally, sometime around 6, we finally just kind of looked at each other and we're like, we should just go to another motel. Like, at this point, if she's going to call us, it's gonna be too late anyway, and like, I don't want to have to sit in like a Starbucks. Like, we have the money technically, so we'll just pay for one more motel. It'll be fine, and like, she'll contact us by tonight, and if not, let's not even think about it. So we found another $80 motel. Again, they did not accept pets, so we snuck Danny in. I know that's against the rules, but we were under a lot of stress, okay? Anyway. So we're sitting in this motel, we're watching Full House, we're both trying to pretend like we're not having a mental and emotional breakdown. Like, we were both like making conversation, but like, it was very not genuine. I don't even know how to describe it, but like, okay, for instance, I'm sitting here telling you this story, and you can see me being enthusiastic, and I'm like saying things to you that I actually mean. We were kind of like, hey, did you see this meme? Yeah, it's funny. Hey, this person said this thing. Like, honestly, if I had seen this from the outside, I would have thought that we were actually crazy people. We were both on the brink of a breakdown, and by that I mean we've been having a breakdown, but trying not to have a breakdown so the other one wouldn't have a breakdown, but we were both in the middle of a breakdown. She didn't call at all that night. I started sending emails. I literally wound up sending one that said, listen, if you do not call me by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, I am getting the authorities involved. Like, I'm calling a lawyer, I'm calling the police. I figured if nothing else, that'll light a fire under their ass, because if it's not a scam, and again, I kept using that like, oh yeah, well, she was saying that she would call us. Why would she say that she'd call us if it were a scam? Like, what would the point in that be? And so I used that and I went with it. Like, that was my battery, you know what I mean? Like, I was like already like in a breakdown, but I was like, no, it doesn't make sense. So I have to be in denial, because otherwise why would she message me? Like, there's no point looking at other places to live. Like, we have a place to live. She's just not responding. Like, it's just a frustrating situation. Yeah, it was bad. So, yeah. We didn't get a phone call in the morning. By the time I woke up, I believe it was 9, 10 in the morning, something like that. I didn't have a phone call. No one ever called. I got on Craigslist and I literally, I know it's Craigslist, okay, shut up. I can hear you. I know it was stupid, I was desperate. But I literally went through and messaged every single person for every single ad that sounded even semi-remotely like it could work. Literally was desperate. I had a copy-paste message saying like, we're desperate, this is our situation, can we move in today? No one was responding. I hadn't gotten a phone call or an email from Hanukkah or Lisa. I hadn't heard from anyone that I was messaging on Craigslist. I literally messaged so many people, Craigslist thought I was a robot and made me stop sending messages. It made me stop. So we had to get out of the hotel at like 11. Once again, that's general checkout time. We got out, we snuck Danny back out, and we just kind of drove around for a little while, and that was when also we wound up just sitting outside of the apartment. Because I was like, surely she's gonna come in or out at some point or another. Like, we literally sat on the steps, and I kept calling, and I kept emailing. I was desperate. I mean, it showed. How we didn't get murdered, honestly, like, someone could have been like, hey, I have a room literally upstairs right beside me right now. Do you want to come up? And we could be like, okay, sure. And then they would literally have murdered us. Like, I don't know how that didn't happen. That's the real story here. I actually wound up, there was a girl who was like coming in and she kept like eyeing us weirdly because we were like in her way. And then as she got up to the door, I was like, hey, wait a minute. And she stopped like, oh God, am I gonna get murdered? But no. So I told her like kind of the situation. I asked her like if she knew Hanukkah who lived there, and she's like, Hanukkah? No, I've never heard of anyone with that name, but I don't know everyone, so I don't know. I was like, okay, well, thanks. And she's like, are you guys moving in? I was like, well, we're supposed to be. And then she went inside and we waited like a little while longer. People were giving us weird looks, and we got out of there. So on one of my friend's recommendations, we actually wound up going to the LGBT Youth Center of LA. So we were both under, I believe it was 24 was the cutoff. We were both under that. And so we technically like were allowed to go in. But the problem was we had a cat. Like, there was like a day center or something we were trying to go to, so we could just like have somewhere to relax and maybe eat and like maybe sleep that night. We didn't know, but like we needed to figure something else out. But yeah, so we were talking to our friend Ariel the whole time as well, like letting her know what was going on. And while we were in there, we had been in there probably like an hour, something like that. I had already kind of like almost started crying at one point. Neither of us were even trying to have conversations anymore because we were just so emotionally drained and like mid-breakdown, you know what I mean? And like I was messaging Ariel, but that was the only like conversation that we were having at all. And then finally I got a text message. So I got a text saying, hey, this is Allison. I got your email about Craigslist. I was wondering if maybe you could meet up today around 3:30. Like I said, I messaged so many people, Craigslist made me stop sending messages because it thought I was a spam robot. Maybe that's why people weren't responding now that I think about it. Anyway, not the point. So she said, hi, my name is Allison, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking of this one ad that I saw that was a girl and her boyfriend renting out a room for a girl, hee, like maybe open to couples. Like it definitely seemed like one of those like live with us, like friends with benefits. But we were so desperate. I said okay. So she said that her name was Allison. She's like, you know, if you want to come meet me and my roommate like at 3:30, that'd be really cool. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, where do you want to meet? And she said, how about Natural Sisters Cafe? I was like, okay, that's fine. I didn't know where it was, but I was like, all right. So then I mapped it. Turns out it was actually 2.5 hours away, and I didn't have time to be there in time. We were gonna be there probably around 4:30-ish. So I told her that, and she's like, that's cutting it a little close, but that could still work. So come on, let's go ahead. So I run inside, I grab Connor, I grab all my stuff, we check out of the place. They're like, good luck. We're like, thank you, crying.
Also, at that point, I had already pre-booked an extended stay hotel for 2 nights just in case, because I didn't want us to have to be last minute booking. Thankfully it was canceled before any time before 5 p.m. for free, so I figured it'd be fine if we did end up having another place, but I was paranoid and wanted us to have a place to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good backup plan, like.
Yeah.
And then right as we were leaving, our friend Ariel texted me and she said, so I've been talking to the roomies, and if you guys still need a place to crash, you can come crash on our couch for as long as you need to get back on your feet. Just make sure Danny stays in the living room, blah, 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 but like, you can come live with us. Like, you'll be fine. We both started crying because we were so stressed and like, we're homeless. We're sitting in a homeless shelter that I can't even stay at longer than just today because my cat's not allowed in here. Like, it was a thing. Yeah, so we're like totally stressed this whole time, and then she texts us right as we're about to leave, and we both just literally start crying, and we start like singing along a little bit to the radio, and then we start talking about the fact, oh my god, I feel like a human again. This is weird. Like, I don't know how to describe the feeling that comes when you're like, I have no home. Like, I have nowhere that I can sleep, like nowhere I can just go to. All of my things are in my car, and I can't even like go and try and like distract myself somewhere else because I have a cat. So we start driving to Joshua Tree, which is where we're meeting up with this Allison person and the roommate, and Connor is texting Ariel back and being like, oh my god, thank you so much, we'll let you know, we're going to meet potential roommates right now, but we'll see, and like, if nothing else, thank you. So we drive 2.5 hours out of the way, because at this point we had already driven hours and hours all around LA. What's another 2.5 hours, you know what I mean? So we drive, it's fine, we get there, and we're both like kind of nervous because I'm like, okay, this could go one of two ways. We could have a place to live, really far from LA, by the way, or we could get murdered. So here we are. I don't know, we were really nervous. We got out of the car. Apparently that place, it was like some organic place or something like that, like non-corporate, and you had to like make sure that you bought something so you could sit outside. I don't know, it was a thing. But I bought like a soda, and then we sat outside with Danny, and then these two girls walk up, and I'm like, is that them? And I had just texted like, hey, we're here. And I saw one of them looking down at her phone, and then I got a text that said, yeah, we're here too. And then I saw the girl put her phone away, and I was like, I think that's them. I think that's them. Ah, that's cool. So then they both walk up, and we've already like discussed what we're wearing and stuff, and I'm like, are you Allison? She's like, yeah. Are you Kai? And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, this is Connor, this is Danny, and she's like, this is Kylie, and I'm like, hey, your name's like mine. And then we started talking, and it was really cool. Like, we sat down, we all instantly got along. We were like low-key shit-talking people. Like, honestly, I'm still blown away by the fact that we happened to meet them. Like, we were literally parallels of each other, and it was really cool. So Allison's like, okay, here's the thing. The house is like 5 minutes around the corner, so we're gonna drive there, you can follow us, come see the house, everything else. Then I have to go to work, but Kylie's still gonna be there, and then you guys can like move in if you want to, and everything else. Like, it's gonna be fine. So we're like ecstatic. We get in our car, we're squealing about how awesome these people are and how easily we clicked with them. We go to the house, we get out. It's huge. Compared to every house I've lived in my entire life, it's massive. I mean, okay, it was still like a 1-story house, you know, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, but it was huge. So we get out, and the house is awesome. Even if it weren't, we still would have wound up staying and been excited because it would have been a place to live. But it was an awesome place to live, you know what I mean? The people are really nice. Allison leaves to go to work, and we decide to go get dinner. We come back, blah, blah, blah. We move in. It was amazing. We're still really good friends with them to this day, especially Allison. We're actually gonna go spend Christmas with her, and I'm really excited. Anyway, yeah, we never actually wound up calling the cops. I actually literally like an hour before Allison texted me, I had like tried to call the police department like building place, and it rang and rang and rang, and then finally I got like an automated message, and it was like, if you need to talk to someone, press this button. So I did, and then it told me a bunch of like information about something that didn't pertain to me at all. I don't even remember what it was. It was something really weird. And then it was like, okay, you can do this and this and this online. Goodbye. And it hung up on me. So I never wound up bothering to call the police later because LA was 2.5 hours away from the place that we were living. Then I was like, I'm gonna have to go in and give a statement, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know if it'd even be worth it. And so we were like, well, maybe we can go to the Joshua Tree police. We never did. To this day, we haven't done anything. I guess that's part of why I'm making this video with their names in it, because they're criminals. Realistically, it's probably just like some old dude sitting in his home in Florida on his computer, pretending to be 2 girls. I don't know. Anyway, that's the end of the story time. I know it's crazy long. I feel like I've been talking for 2 hours. My battery's gonna die. I've already had to change it one other time.
And the moral of the story is Allison is a wonderful human being.
Actually, Allison is the one person who had, do you remember the story time? The symbol story time? If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's linked. But she was the one who told me about the symbol and I found out what it meant because of her. So like, everything's connected, and how did this happen? Also, the main moral of the story is, please, dear God, do not look for housing on Craigslist. And honey, when you see a red flag, pay attention and get out. It's not worth it. I've actually at this point been scammed a few times on Craigslist, so more story times to come. I've like given this story in like really short amounts to like a bunch of different people, and every single person I've told it to who has tried to move to LA either said, that happened to me when I moved there, or that happened to someone I knew when they moved there. Like, literally so many people had this happen to them, it's a problem. So please be careful. I love you, please be careful. Okay, I'm tired and I'm sweaty and there are a lot of flames behind me that I need to blow out, and yeah. Anyway, that's gonna be about all for this story time. I'm so glad I finally told this story because I keep being anxious about the fact that I haven't told the story yet, because I'm like, it's such a big story, it's a crazy story, and I know people have been wanting to see it, and I've been saying that I'm gonna tell it for like forever because it happened back in early August and it's now December, and like, who am I? But at least I told it at this point. I hope you enjoyed the story. I'm coming out with more cool new stuff, and I'm also gonna start a cool new series on my channel pretty soon where I'm gonna be sorting like YouTubers and celebrities and maybe in real life people and etc. and like random people into like what Starbucks drinks they would get, because I'm a Starbucks barista and I know these things sometimes. Anyway, it seems like a fun thing to do on my channel, so please suggest people in the comments box below and on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else. Go find me on places. Ah! I kind of like that. Go find me on places. Ah! I might do that. That sounded like a monkey. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, MeowChiatos. Please don't go on Craigslist. I love you. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and go subscribe to my MeowChi channel. There's probably another video on there, probably. I don't know, maybe. I'm really bad at this. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Why are you such a copycat?
This is like a lot further away than where I normally put the camera because I like the like bigger shot, you know, but God, that's hard doing my outro.